Hey friends, welcome to episode number 6 of the Hero's Journey podcast. Today, I am joined by a really exciting guest that honestly, when I first started this podcast, was one of those people that I had always wanted to have on the podcast. He's got such an amazing story. He's a run coach. He's an endurance athlete. He just got done running across the United States in 66 days, and he's got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. I'm excited to introduce today Kallup McCoy. Kallup, what's up, brother?
What's up, Nick? Whenever you started this podcast, I watched from afar. We've been connected for a few years now, and I coached you at New York City Marathon. But when I first seen you announce this podcast, I knew at some point that this was going to happen. So I'm excited to be here, man.
Yeah, man. And it's happening on the 6th episode too, which is crazy. I was like, surely I'd have to, build myself up a little bit.
Yeah, no,
here
dude.
we are.
Love what you're building here, man.
Thanks,
I'm excited
brother.
to chat today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you've got an amazing story, a hell of a story. And so I guess just fill people in with what you've been up to with the Transcon, right? Ran across the country, 66 days. We can go into it as much as you like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just fill people in as to why, all those different things.
I'll paint with a broad stroke, and then we can kind of go in a little bit deeper. But essentially, I started in San Diego, California on March 22nd, and I ran for 66 days, and we ran through 8 states: California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, and finished in Wilmington, North Carolina. I had 62 days of running, 4 rest days. That comes out to a little over 43 miles a day total. And this is something that had been in the back of my mind for a number of years. In 2018, I ran the Trail of Tears from North Carolina to Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I ran 800 miles. And that was as a way to kind of jumpstart the nonprofit, which we'll talk about, Raise Hope Recovery and Consulting, that I co-founded with my wife, Caitlin. And that was also because I was denied doing an annual bike ride that my tribe does. So instead of looking at opposition, and adversity and allowing that to stop me from embarking on that journey, the Trail of Tears, I used that as an opportunity to create my own way.
Yeah. And
I knew after I finished that run on the Trail of Tears, that was always in the back of my mind of what would it be like to run across America? So fast forward 7 years later, and we just ran across America.
It's amazing.
And I raised money for our nonprofit, Raise Hope. We raised almost $40,000. Our focus is helping men struggling with mental health issues and substance use disorder, which I have 8 years in recovery from opioid addiction and meth addiction. Yep. And it was really important for me to try to use my story, use my platform, use the God-given abilities that I have to inspire other people and to also raise money and awareness for what we're doing in our community.
Yep. Yeah, we'll touch on that, the takeaways and how you felt like this was very much as much a spiritual journey as it was an endurance event. But 43 miles a day over the course of 66 days. Can you talk a bit first about the training that went into that?
Yeah.
But second off, some bumps along the way. What were the hard parts? What was the grueling parts? I want to hear both. Yeah, I guess let's just start with the training.
The training up to it was pretty daunting. I mean, it was literally eat, breathe, sleep, running, and recovering. It's not just how many miles can I fit in without getting injured, but how quickly can I recover so I could go back and do it again tomorrow. And I hired a coach, Mary Beth Cates. Shout out, Coach Mary Beth. I'm sure she'll probably watch this, but I hired her. She is a cancer survivor, an endurance coach. And so she's a badass and she's a fighter. She's still in the arena. She still competes at a high level. So that's the reason I hired her.
Yep.
I didn't want somebody that's been sitting on the couch, not in the fight, not pushing themselves personally. So we started working together. It was like a collaborative effort. She didn't have a lot of experience coaching me. She didn't have a lot of experience how I'm motivated, what's going to – we didn't have a very long period of time to train for this. I called her around November, December. I started in March.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a whole lot of time to work together. So when I say collaborative effort, it was us going back and forth of like, okay, let's run 100 miles this week. Let's do a little bit of speed work so we can keep some running efficiency and make sure that we're keeping running economy at a high level. So we tried to include some of that until we couldn't, until the mileage just got so high. It was just, let's try to get miles in. And it was just going back and forth with her on a week-to-week basis. Hey, I'm feeling this. My Achilles is flaring up. Or I feel great this week. Let's push a little bit more. And so over the span of those like 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever, we built my mileage up to 175 miles a week. That was my highest. That was my peak week. I think I did 30 to 35 miles on back-to-back days. Honestly, looking back, I should have been doing more, but it's, I didn't have any experience doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things that we were really concerned about is if we push the body too much and we have a stress fracture, then it's called off. Like we won't have an opportunity to do this at all.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of, trying to keep the body in a good place. We didn't want to overtrain. We didn't want to get injured. And I think we did a really good job leading up to it. Like I said, we had that peak week, 175 miles. I get into the gym the next day, and this is, I haven't got to talk about this, but I go into the gym after my last back-to-back long runs, and I'm like, I want to do some plyometric work. Why? I don't know. I want to do some box jumps. So I get some light dumbbells and I do a couple of box jumps and I'll feel something pull my back. So I didn't think anything of it. I go home the next day and by the next morning, my back is just jacked up. I'm in so much pain. Go to my PT and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm 2 weeks away from starting this run across America. They're like, you need to go to get an MRI ASAP. Get an MRI, figure out I've got a bulging disc on my L4, L5, S1, and I've got some nerve issues happening as well. My doctor calls me and she was like, is there any way you can push this back a week or two? Like, we got to let this back issue, we got to let it kind of work itself out. And we had already booked the RV. Yeah. Flights are booked. Yep. All the crews coming out. Everybody's like gun ho. We're starting March 22nd. So I was like, no, I can't do it. And she was like, well, as your doctor, I would suggest that you push this back, but you're obviously not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
So
famous last words.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, Yeah. And then driving across America, sitting in the car for days, I was just messing with my back even more. And I was telling Caitlin and telling the crew, like, this isn't good. I don't know how this is going to work out. But, which is another wild thing. I mean, driving from North Carolina, getting to San Diego and realizing you got to get out of the car and you're running all the way back across America. Yeah. Dude, it's so mind boggling. But we got out there. We had a great crew. Shout out Jess, Bryson, Kendall, Griffin. Who else was out there the first week? Lewis, Rob. Yeah, we had like 8 people in the RV. Which was a huge challenge. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, things went really well, leading up to the run and everything, other than the back issue. I get out for the first couple of days, run 56 miles, I think, on day 1, 54 miles day 2. Yep. And the back just started, loosening up and working itself out. Yeah. So we got off to a good start. And then day 3 hit.
Day 3 was a nightmare?
Day 3 was a nightmare. Southern California, we're close to the Mexican border. Super hot, 100 plus degrees out there. And I remember getting through the halfway mark of the day and we made a call. Griffin, who was my crew chief at the time, he suggested like, hey, let's try to change up your schedule. And that's the thing too, like the elements are going to dictate when you run and when you, try to rest and recover. Yep. So, we're making moves on the fly, trying to do the best that we can. And I remember running a marathon that morning or around lunchtime. We stopped a little bit after lunch and the plan was to go rest until later in the evening, get back out and keep running and try to catch some of those cooler hours. Yeah. Get into the RV and I open up my phone, open up Google Maps. and I look at the map of the United States, and I see that little blue dot.
Yeah, dude.
And I start freaking myself out because I'm like, I have 2,800 miles to go. I'm in the RV with pretty much a bunch of strangers. I'm committed. We're thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, like trying to figure out how, still trying to get sponsors to come on board. None of this stuff's like 100% paid in full yet. Like we're trying to scramble, hustle, get, more sponsors and things like that. All that's going in my mind. I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm already like having trouble running the miles right now. The heat, like I'm just everything, you start thinking about the whole staircase.
Yeah.
You start thinking, look at the whole mountain.
Yep.
And I call my coach, and I remember sitting in the van. I think we're at a Wendy's or something, and at a gas station. And I call her and I talk to her for like an hour. And one of the things that we talked about leading up to this journey was like practicing radical acceptance and understanding there's going to be so many things that come up that are out of our control.
Yep.
And when we look at the enormity of this whole project and how many miles we had to run, it was going to freak us out. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Totally.
How do you run across America? Left foot, right foot. That's all I could think about.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I was thinking like, oh my God, I got to run 50 something miles every day. I'm overwhelming myself. And she was like, dude, you got this. Like you're trained for this. You're strong. You're capable. You've got a great team behind you. You need to lean on them. You need to rely on them. And she was like, all you have to do is run 10 minutes. And that was like a switch. And that's what I used from day 3, the rest of the time. Every day, every time I start getting overwhelmed, I was like, I don't have to run 50 miles today. I just got to run 10 minutes. I just got to walk 10 minutes.
Right.
And I just start moving. And then that momentum would, start to pick up again. And it's like, okay, here we can do this. Yeah. We can break this thing down and get there. So that was a huge crossroads moment for me and for me really, and Caitlin as well. Like I literally thought I was going to have a panic attack. Yeah. Like the chest was tightening up. I'm like starting to hyperventilate. And then I called my coach and she talked me off the ledge and, then we got back to work.
Yeah. So you had talked about the 2 weeks being the hard part, the first 2 weeks. Yeah. Right. And like your body's like, what the hell's going on? I'm running 100K pretty much every day. Like what was the hardest part after that? Like, was the 2 weeks realistic, or was it okay before then, or were there ever like hard times after that?
It was just
like everything was hard.
Everything was hard. Yeah, everything was hard, man. Nothing got any easier. We just got more efficient at it. We learned how to break it down easier. We learned how to rely on one another. Our crew start to get some camaraderie. We got a flow within the crew, which I mean, that took some issues. You're dealing with multiple personalities coming out there. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got a certain way that they want to do things. Yeah. We had to have some come to Jesus moments with the crew and just making sure like we're supporting one another. We're on the same team. Like, making sure that, people they would try to keep the emotional side of things and a lot of the logistical issues away from me. They wanted me to focus on running and eating and recovering.
That's fair.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So that was the goal. But I pick up on that shit. I'm like super in tune with what's happening with the crew and everything. And, there was a little bit of there were some challenges. There were some challenges within the crew. So we had to have some talks with one another and say, okay, like, we got to make sure, like, what's the mission here? The mission is to make sure we all stay safe. Yep. And to get across America and raise money. Uh-huh. Like everything else needs to take a back seat. How you want to do things and how making sure that we're being kind to one another was the number one thing. And I told everybody that came on the crew, like, yes, this is about me running across America and raising money for the nonprofit, but this is also about you guys creating some lifetime memories that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life. Totally. And that was something I was really big on, is like making sure that they were having a good time. So, we had to work through a lot of that, those challenges at first, but I feel like we got into a much better place. Physically, the first 2 weeks, again, like one of our biggest disappointments that we can face is our expectations and our attachment to our opinions and how things are going to go.
Yep.
So I got out there and I was thinking 2 weeks, we're going to be good. We're going to be Gucci. We're going to be rolling.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
It didn't happen that way. We get to Phoenix, and then the landscape started to change after Phoenix, because then we start going up into the mountains of New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And just right when my body started to really adjust to the desert and running on flat land, we start climbing. And I start having, it's just really, really challenging shin splints, Achilles tendonitis in my right leg. So we're problem solving. We're doing muscle scraping. We're doing KT taping, icing, all the things.
Yeah.
That happens for like 6-7 days. And then it moves to the other leg. And I mean, dude, this was excruciating pain. Like, I was hurting so bad. But I learned to just really compartmentalize those things. And that's something that I got, for better or worse, I got really good at, is compartmentalizing things.
Yep.
Challenge would come up, something's happening. Okay, put that here. We're going to just store that over here. Okay, now how do we keep moving forward?
Yeah.
And, we worked through some pretty significant physical injuries that I had to, try to face and overcome. Eventually, after about 2 weeks, and we got through the mountains of New Mexico and we started going down the backside, I think we topped out around 8,500 feet altitude. That's the highest point of the run.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like a slow, just gradual downhill all the way into Oklahoma.
Okay.
So literally like 1,000 miles, just rollers down into Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But that was really difficult, though, heading into the mountains and facing some injuries at that point in time.
Talk a bit about, because this is what I'm really curious about, is how the hell did you recover? Like
in between,
I'm assuming your sleep is like, when you sleep after you run a long time, it's not great. You're not having like this really restful sleep. So yeah, talk a bit about like who you had on, what they were doing, how they were helping you, how you were sleeping, what you were eating, all those types of recovery things.
Well, when we first started out, I wanted to try to get as much whole foods down as I possibly could. Mm-hmm. Obviously, just a ton of fruits, lots of steak, lots of chicken, eggs, avocado, things like that. We obviously stayed away from the fibrous vegetables, and we did a good job at that for the first, half of the run. We're pretty locked in nutritionally. Mm-hmm. And there were so many days, Nick, where I would step off for the day and be done. And I was so broken. You like with your ultra, your 50 mile?
Yeah.
How broken were you after you finished that?
Bro, I put this shirt on and I was thinking like, I ran 50 miles once and that was like the most pain I was ever in. And you did that back to back for 66
How many days were you hobbling around after that race?
Dude, like a week. Yeah. It was crazy. And yeah, so that's why I'm curious, like, how did you sleep at all?
So that's the thing. I stepped off feeling like you did after that.
Yeah.
So many days.
Yeah.
And I would ask myself, how in the hell am I going to get up in the morning and do this again?
Yeah.
Honestly, I know getting in the calories, it was a huge part of keeping me recovering and bouncing back quickly. A lot of it was just grit and resilience and understanding that this was bigger than me. And I had a lot of people cheering for me. I fed off that energy. That kept me motivated and disciplined to the task. And honestly, it was just my crew keeping me encouraged. Like it was, my recovery sucked. I mean, you can only recover so much when you're sleeping 5.5 hours a night and you're doing almost 50 miles a day.
Right.
So I had to rely on a lot of those internal things, internal motivators to keep me going.
Yeah. Because
externally, you can only do so much with the recovery tools, with Normatec boots. Like I would do that. I slap the Normatec boots on.
Yeah, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm. It's like,
that's all you got work so much.
Right.
In the morning times, it was just like, how many we got to try to get anywhere from like 6,000 to 8,000 calories down a day. When I was feeling the best, I was at the higher end of that, right?
Yep.
Sometimes it got so difficult to eat and nothing tasted good, especially as we got further into the run. That we just started eating fast food, easy, empty calories, whatever we could get down.
Yeah.
That obviously got me feeling pretty sluggish in itself because I just wasn't eating quality food. Mm. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of those internal factors, motivators that kept me going.
Yeah. Well, you'd mentioned on a previous podcast that this was very much a spiritual journey, just as much, if not more, as it was a physical endurance feat. Can you talk a little bit about how your spirituality, your belief in God, led you to this ultimate, running across the country?
Yeah. Whenever God made that transformation in my heart and just in my life back in 2017 when I was locked up. One of the things that I said, and I promised myself and I promised to God, was that I was going to live a life of not of mediocrity. Like I had been existing and surviving for so many years because of my addiction, because of the shame I had experienced, the mental health issues, that I wanted to, once I was released from jail, that I wanted to live a life that not only honored God, but those that I've lost. And, I lost my sister. Oh, there's smoke.
That's funny.
I lost my sister to overdose in 2019. Obviously I was a couple years into recovery at that time. Thank God, I had the ability, family and friends and support to be able to overcome that. I lost my aunt 2018, consequences of her addiction. She had endocarditis, and she passed away on my Trail of Tears run. My dad passed away from cancer in 2014 before seeing me get into recovery and be the man that I am today. And those are my motivators. That's the purpose that I have in doing things like this. Is they don't need me to run across America to love me. They don't need me to do that to be proud of me. But I do that because I got tired of existing and living my life just surviving and thinking about getting the next high and how I'm going to support my habit and inflicting so much pain and heartache on the people that love me. That this type of stuff continues to develop me. My mindset, it helps me to keep me sharp. It helps keeping me motivated and disciplined. And I can use my story and my platform to hopefully better other people's lives by sharing the things that I've been through and understanding that I didn't come from a collegiate runner background. I didn't come from, like parents that were outstanding athletes or anything. Like I was strung out on drugs for 15 years, man. I blew up. I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now when I was in jail at my heaviest. I didn't have a whole lot of talent, man. I love the process of training for something hard.
Yeah.
I love who it helps you become, who it develops you in the process. And, it's just something that's just really important to me, man. It feeds my soul. And it's something I want to continue to do until I can't anymore. I want to be breaking world records when I'm 80 years old if I can, God willing.
Yeah.
It's that meaningful to me.
Yeah. I think something that strikes me about you is every time I've followed your story, you PR a marathon or you run an ultra or you run across the country, there's very little downtime between when you finish that thing and the next thing. You're always thinking about what's next. You're always like, your button's always on, which is super inspiring because I know a lot of people that, and I myself is included in that. Like I finish something and I'm like, all right, I can relax for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that's what's so inspiring to you. And, you know, where do you get that energy from?
It's a great question. I think it's twofold. I think it's a great thing that I can continue to like recover. I'm 10 weeks post Run Across America and I'm already body's bouncing back, feeling great. You know, I'm excited. I'm the fire's starting to get stoked again. I'm passionate. I'm ready to go chase this next thing. But I struggle in the silence and of doing nothing, of being.
Reflecting.
These types of conversations help me to do that, though. So while that is a great thing that I'm able to do that, it's a blessing and it's a curse.
Totally.
You know? Because I use it to anesthetize, numb, maybe run away from things that I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
Mental health issues, anxiety, my own struggles, my own personal struggles, my own demons.
Yep.
But I think back to your question, I'm starting to really get deep here with you, Nick.
Let's do it.
Go back to your question. I really do think that definitely comes from sitting in that jail cell for 6 months and thinking about what my life had been for 31 years up until that point, and understanding that God had saved me from 6 overdoses where I tried to destroy myself. I was trying to kill myself because I was just so ashamed and so disappointed of what my life had become. I didn't want to be here anymore. And understanding that there was this divine power in the universe that was keeping me here. And understanding that it's my responsibility and obligation to live a life of service and live a life of inspiration to other people, because that's who my dad said I was going to be all along.
Hmm.
So this is me living out my dad's words, before he passed away. And that's where I think that fire comes from.
Do you think anything changes from when you had turned your life around? Do you still have those same voices in your head? You know, the I'm not good enough, the same things, the same voice that made you an addict. Do you think that you ever can get away from that voice?
I don't really hear that stuff anymore. Yeah, no, I don't hear those voices. I was just reading a few minutes ago, and I think the reason that those have been drowned out, and I don't struggle with that type of internal dialogue anymore.
Yep.
Is, I've just got such a great support system.
Yeah.
My family, my friends, the work that I do to serve others, just how God's using me right now. Just got so much purpose in my life. Yeah. So no, I don't think I struggle with that as much as I used to.
Yeah. Nice. I know you wanted to. Let's keep touching on the TransCon.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's go back there.
Yeah, because we're like Oklahoma, Texas.
Yeah.
Right
That's exactly
how
I'm thinking about it in my brain. Is all right. So we're coming down New Mexico. We're going down the mountains, and we're coming into Oklahoma. And Oklahoma is a very symbolic state for you. Can you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah. Again, go back to 2018 when I completed my Trail of Tears run in Oklahoma. And I had so many people, strangers, at the time, come out to support me and watch me finish that run. And over the years, I'll go out to Stillwell in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and just hang out with, those friends, and basically like family at this point. Mm-hmm. Visit, go speak in the schools, hang out with the community, go to church out there, some of the people that I got connected with when I finished. And I told my mom throughout this whole run, shout out Ruth. I told my mom throughout the whole run, I said, Mom, if I can just get to Oklahoma, I got this shit beat. I'm like, it's a coast or coast and end of New York, North Carolina.
Yeah.
I got this. Because I knew I've ran that before.
Yeah.
7 years prior, and I know I'm 10 times the runner
Totally.
today than I was then.
Totally.
And so I was just like, let's just got to fight. We just got to keep battling. Let's get to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Once we got to Oklahoma, we did the whole prank video.
Yeah. Got
everybody riled up with that. We faked an arrest. If you go back and look on my Instagram, you can see that. Which, I was bored and I was coming down the road one day and I was like, man, I told the crew, I said, if we see a cop, we're going to ask him to act like he's arresting me and we'll post it and just freak everybody out.
So funny. Yeah.
So we did that and we just took it way too far.
Yeah.
Lewis, my videographer, shout out Louie. He was running my socials and he posted on the story like, Kallup's in jail. We'll get back to everybody as soon as we hear more.
Wasn't this on April Fool's though?
No. We did another.
There was another.
Prank.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
When,
so there was
when
two
we were
pranks.
like, we're calling the run because I'm injured. I got stress fractures.
I saw right through that.
Yeah, but we announced it was a joke in the same video. So the arrest video, we do that and we don't announce it for 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
We just go completely radio silent and let everybody think that I really got arrested. So I struggled with that for a couple of days. Everything made me emotional.
Yeah.
You at the end of,
you're emotional after you do a long run. I am. I'm emotional after I'm my body's like,
you're so vulnerable. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. You're broken down. You're depleted.
Yep.
You're sleep deprived.
Yep.
You got traffic whizzing by you all the time. So you're overstimulated.
Yeah.
And we did the prank and it backfired, I guess, in a sense. I mean, all publicity is good publicity, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So I was carrying that.
Why did it backfire?
There's a lot of people, throwing shade, saying we're doing it for attention or we're trying to get money. Our fundraising efforts weren't doing well. So this was us trying to get bond money. There wasn't a whole lot of people saying that, but there were a few.
Some haters.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I was like, well, if this bothered you so much, if you're that invested, donate to the nonprofit.
Yeah.
Like you're that pissed off about it.
Yeah.
So
hey, thanks for the engagement on Instagram.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks for the comments, putting us up at the top.
Exactly.
So yeah, we did that, went through that. I carried that for a few days. And finally I told, the crew, I was like, I just got to put this behind me because it was weighing me down.
Yeah.
I called one of my buddies, Chris Shanks, who came out and crewed. And he was like, F those people, man. You got to focus on the mission.
Yeah.
So that was one of the pieces of adversity I ran into in Oklahoma. We kept rolling, went through Arkansas, which is honestly, arguably, Arkansas and New Mexico were arguably my favorite states. Loved Arkansas. Ozarks.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty out there. And good people out there too, man.
Nice.
Good people. They weren't running me off the road.
Yeah.
Checking on us when we'd be stopped somewhere. And then it's like getting back to the Mississippi River, which was huge. Getting run back across the Mississippi.
Yep.
Really emotional moment. I started having, some of our friends from back home, they had been with us through that section. I hit the 2,000 mile mark. It was in the middle of the night. We came through Memphis. Here I am. I'm blasting 3-6 Mafia, Memphis legends there. And I get close to the end of the night and there's a crowd, my crew and a crowd of people. And I thought it was random people just from Memphis coming out to cheer me on. And I got my phone out and I'm taking a story and I look up and it's my mom and my son and, the guys some of the guys from the recovery house, which I was not expecting. And Caitlin and everybody set that up. And it was an awesome surprise to have that 2,000 mile mark, have my family out there supporting me and everything. So, honestly, Nick, Tennessee and North Carolina were the most difficult states. Just because you're at the end,
yep,
your energy's getting low, your body's, just completely wiped out, worn down.
Yeah.
That there's no motivation. It's all discipline at this point.
Yeah.
Relying anytime people would come out that I haven't got to see or haven't got to see in a long time, you know, that always got my energy back up, brought the vibes back up.
Yep.
But you know, it was a struggle those last 2 states, and then getting into North Carolina, I got to run into Bryson City and Cherokee, you know, my hometown, community there. That was really special. We had a welcoming party in Bryson and Cherokee, back-to-back days. That meant a lot. You know, that was really awesome. So, and then from there, it was a death march. Yeah. From Western North Carolina to Wilmington.
I bet. Because you're riding that high from going through Bryson City and Cherokee.
Yeah, my bed's right up the road. Yeah. Like I want to stop and go home, and it's like the job's not done. Yeah. So it's like it's not how you start a thing; it's how you finish a thing. Totally. And I wanted to finish better than I did, and that's something that's going to inspire me in these next few endeavors and these challenges that I have, to make sure that I finish stronger in those things. And I did the Transcon. It was, dude, I'm so serious. It was a death march. There's so many dirt naps being taken in North Carolina. Yeah. Yeah. I was all over the place.
Meaning just like pacing, like
pacing, just energy low. Yeah. I mean, lots of walking. Yeah. At that point in time, I was so exhausted, dude. I was taking multiple dirt naps every day. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it was tough. It was a tough thing to finish for sure.
But you did it, bro.
I did it.
66 days. It's unbelievable.
Thank you, man.
Unbelievable. And it's a testament, the ripple effect, that you have, like going through each of these different towns, the people that you saw, the people that you brought along with, whether that be in person or cheering you on social media. I remember like every day I'd be checking my story and being like, yo, what's Kallup up to? Like, oh, yo, how many miles did he do today? Yeah.
And it's cool, man. I appreciate that.
It's just so inspiring, bro. Like it really, really is. It's so impactful, and it's crazy the transition that you've had over the past 8 years. Mm-hmm. When you're in that jail cell, you realistically shouldn't be here, right? Yeah. You were brought back via Narcan multiple times. So it's just a testament to God's power and how He can move your life in all these different ways that you would have never expected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next?
I'm doing a 10-week or 10-episode YouTube series. It's going to be a 20-week marathon prep where I'll be shooting for 232 marathon in Houston on January the 11th. And then I'll have a little bit of downtime. When I say a little bit, probably 2-3 weeks, just chill. Mm-hmm. And then I want to go into a 200-mile prep where I want to try to get top 10 in a 200-mile race. Maybe Tahoe in June. And then the big one of 2026 is I'm going for William Googe's record down under across Australia. So I'll have to run 2,400 miles in 34 days, averaging around 66, 67 miles a day. So that's on the calendar for 26.
That's it? That's all you got?
Yeah. And then I might retire.
Yeah. Just ride off into the sunset. Just stay in Australia. Yeah. Don't come back.
Not a bad idea.
So William Googe just broke that. He just broke that record. Yeah. I saw that.
Earlier this year when I was on the Run Across America when I was watching him. Yeah. Getting updated, seeing how he did that.
Nice. Okay. So let's go back to Houston.
Yeah.
232. What is that per mile, and does that scare the shit out of you?
At this point, dude, nothing scares the shit out of me like that. Like any physical challenge at this point, it's just like
it's just physical.
Yeah, it's just pain, right? Like Truett Haynes says, it's just pain. It's not going to kill you. We're going to be better for it. 232 is a 5:48 pace per mile.
Nice.
My current PR is 236, which is a 5:59 pace. It's a pretty big jump. Working with Adam Goucher, Olympian. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Adam. There are no former when you're once you're an Olympian, you're always an Olympian, in Adam's words. Adam Goucher is going to be coaching me for this marathon prep, and we'll be sharing the whole journey on YouTube. And so I'm excited about that.
And who's sponsoring that YouTube?
Icebound Essentials. It's a cold plunge company. They do a lot of recovery products. They're based out of Austin, Texas.
Nice.
And hopefully I want to have Kane Footwear come on board as well.
Heck yeah.
And Fuel Goods for my fuel sponsor. So
Nice.
shout out all those people.
Heck yeah. You got the Canes on right now.
Got the Canes on. Yeah.
Love it.
Repping.
Okay. So Houston, when is that?
January 11th.
Okay.
11th through the 12th.
Okay. Cool. So like 5 months out from that?
Yeah, a little over 5 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing right now? Are you trying to regain strength? Are you doing much running? Like what's the running intensity like?
Just trying to build my base back up, doing 1 speed workout a week, hitting the gym 3 days a week right now. I lost so much athleticism. Any type of explosive work, fast twitch stuff, not to go deep into that type of stuff, but I lost a lot of athletic ability.
Yeah.
I mean, just running low and slow for 2,800 plus miles.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get some of that back into the gym, just trying to get athletic again, trying to work on some speed.
Yeah.
Trying to just get some muscle mass put back on, because I know once I start my marathon prep and I get my mileage up 80, 90 miles a week, I'm close to 180 pounds right now. I'll be down to 165, in marathon training. So I'll be much thinner. So yeah, I'm just trying to have fun in the gym right now, get strong and slowly build my mileage back up.
Yeah. And so did you intentionally time it to where you're running Houston first and trying to get real fast for that and then do the ultra, as opposed to do a 200-mile ultra like earlier in the year and then do the marathon after? Is that very strategic?
Yeah. Yeah. I got enough of the low and slow for a little while.
Yeah.
I want to start, get fast again.
Yeah. Focus
on something else and go into the 200-mile and the record down under prep, as fast as I've ever been, which is going to just help me to run 65, 66 miles a little quicker, more efficiently.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's going to be difficult as you get deeper into that journey. But yeah, going into it, the faster you are, the faster that your ultra marathon pace is going to be, so it's all relative. And I want to try to work on some speed before I hop into those things.
Yeah. Yeah. David Roach, who just broke that Leadville, he's got that cool new approach to ultra running.
He does.
Which is super fascinating about getting really fast and working a lot more speed work and having a really high VO2 max, which then translates a lot to mountain fitness and to climbing and different things like that, which is fascinating. I'd always thought about have really strong legs and just kind of chug along in zone 2 and do all your training in zone 2. And like, yes, that still works to build the base, but you also need a really high top of the pyramid. If you will.
Ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta be fast. You gotta be efficient.
Yeah.
Running economy's got to be really well. David Roach is changing the game. I love watching his stuff.
It's so cool too, because he was talking about his Leadville 100 prep, and he was like, I don't think I ever ran more than 60 miles a week during the prep. Yeah. Which is crazy.
He's doing a ton of biking too, I think.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot, not a ton, but he's doing a lot of biking too. Yeah. And what people don't realize is he's been putting in stacking bricks for 18 years. This didn't just happen overnight. Like, it's about like what is it? James Clear talks about the ice cube.
Yeah.
Once it hits under 32,
then it melts.
It starts. Yeah.
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 That's true. So why Australia?
Well, I've never been out of the country, so
you got to get a passport.
I got to get it. No, not yet. We got a lot of challenges leading up to the big challenge itself. Got to get a passport, but yeah, I've never been out of the country. Watching Ned Brockman do it a few years ago, fascinated me. Then I heard him on Rich Roll, and so it kind of that appealed to me then because I heard him talking about all the kangaroos, all the roadkill and everything. I was like, dang, that'd be crazy. Talking about running through the middle of the country and just like how you wouldn't see anybody for days and days. Why that appeals to me, I don't know, but it does.
Yeah.
And then watching William Gouge go out and break the record. And seeing him run across America last year, where he averaged like 55 miles a day, or no, he finished in 55 days.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, comparing myself to Googe a little bit, I'm like, I'm faster than him in a marathon. Obviously, he's more efficient, more accomplished ultra marathoner than I am, but I can get there. And then, we got to have big goals, right? Got to have something get us out of bed in the morning. So
totally.
And Australia just seems like a cool place to go.
Yeah. It's going to be warm.
I'm going to go early spring, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Hell yeah, dude. That's so exciting. Well, cool. I know we kind of had glossed over it a bit, but the name of this podcast, The Hero's Journey, based on this premise that everybody's going through their own hero's journey, right? Like, you have your own, I have my own, everybody has their own, and we're constantly going through one big one, and we're going through a bunch of little small ones, whether it be with running or with lifting or, any sort of like smaller example. But
I would love for you to elaborate on your perspective on the hero's journey.
Yeah. So if you look at any movie, any really good book, it generally follows this kind of theme where Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or any of those movies, they follow this, like, there's a call to adventure. There's a little boy who is called to adventure, but he initially is like, no, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not whatever. And then through the grace of God or through spiritual forces, you go through this journey anyway. You get called to this journey. And then you run through this series of steps with a bunch of mentors, and you face a bunch of conflict and trials and tribulations. And then you kind of hit like the rock bottom, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you build yourself up. And you emerge from this great adventure as this man who is then able to be of service to himself, be of service to his community, be of service to others. And, it's this whole cycle of self-excavation and becoming who you were intended to be and why you were put on this earth. So that's literally like that sounds like your story.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm just curious, like, how you think about your hero's journey. You can go into as much depth or as little depth, but maybe for the folks that have never heard your story before, could we zoom all the way back into present day?
Yeah. Whew, man.
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Call to adventure. I feel like I didn't have my call to adventure until, like I was saying a few minutes ago, when I was 31 and God saved me and transformed my life. I had a lot of challenges for several years leading up to that call. I came from a family and a community where there were a lot of difficulties, a lot of struggles with substance use, alcoholism, domestic violence. Both of my grandparents on my mom's side were both murdered. My mom grew up in a children's home, group homes, before she finally settled in with my nanny and papa who raised her. Not blood related to me, but I called them that growing up. That was my mom's mom and dad. Say they stepped up and loved her and raised her. And, my dad came from nothing, very poor, grew up, born in 1947, old head, old school. My grandma died when he was really young. My grandpa was kind of in and out of his life, had his own struggles with different things, alcoholism. And so it's kind of setting the stage, and that's what I grew up around. Fighting, drinking on the weekends, partying, all those things were very normalized. But the one thing that my mom and dad, they taught me a lot. They loved me. They provided for me. They instilled toughness and grit, and they, like I say, and love. Taking care of your family, taking care of one another, protecting one another. I watched my dad. He's had a entrepreneurial spirit before that was a thing. That was a buzzword. He had his own construction company. Mm-hmm. Taught himself how to read a tape, build homes, build houses, and had his own little side hustle going on, selling a bit of weed here and there, and amongst other things. I don't want to get into all that. My mom always tells me, don't overshare, son. You don't have to tell everything. So, but my dad was he's a visionary. He was the baby of his siblings, and he took care of them, and he created this business building homes, a carpenter, and he provided jobs for my entire family. All my cousins, my uncles, everybody worked for my dad. And I seen that, and that was always appealing to me. I always loved that about him. I always respected that about him. So there's some things. I'm watching my mom work, she's working different jobs and trying to help provide too. And, her and my dad going through their struggles. But the one thing that they always had was love for one another and respect for one another. And my sister, Leanne, who passed away in 2019, she's 7 years older than me. She had her own struggles. She struggled her entire life with mental health issues, really bad anxiety and bipolar disorder. And I watched her turn to drugs to try to numb some of that stuff she was going through. But it set the stage, a lot of chaos in my life. My mom and dad would split up and get back together and split up. My sister's running away. She's 13 years old, 14. And so I was kind of wondering, I didn't know what direction I was going to go in life. This is probably the deepest I've ever talked about any of this stuff on a podcast right now.
Heck yeah.
It feels good to talk about it, though.
That's great. Yeah, go as deep or as shallow as you want.
So very early on, man, I didn't know. Like I say, I was lost. I was wondering. I didn't know what direction I was going to go in life. I see all this stuff happening around me, and I wasn't keen of this is where I'm going to go if I don't take a different path. And I was involved in sports. Middle school cross country, I won. I started running my 7th grade year, and I sucked. I was terrible. Second to last on the team. I remember telling my mom for the first 2 weeks, crying, mad, pissed off because she's making me run. And I was like, I'm bad at it. I don't want to keep doing this. And she's like, well, just finish the season, and then you don't have to run next year. So I finished that season. I grew up playing basketball, community ball in Cherokee. Loved playing basketball. But I finished that season. I come back my 8th grade year, and I'm like, all right, I'll run again. And I won the conference championship that year. Lost one meet the entire year. First meet of the year, and I won the rest of them.
Nice.
So we had a really competitive cross-country team at that time. They won they won back-to-back state championships, cross-country and track. And I was going to be the next thing coming up.
Yep.
And carry that torch. And then I found football. Football was going to give me the girls. Mm-hmm. So I started playing football my freshman year, stopped running. And it was around that time, a couple years before that, I got diagnosed with migraine headaches. They gave me a prescription for a narcotic, and again, like I, got a lot of stuff going on at home, and that narcotic became the thing that helped me numb that pain and mask a lot of that stuff. And I didn't know it then, but that was kind of like the cure. When I would take that drug, it helped me to escape and be comfortable in my own skin and deal with, with life. And then I find sports, I stopped using trying to get into the medicine cabinets. My mom actually found out that I was stealing a bunch of benzos from her. She was on Xanax, her entire life from her own struggles. And I was taking her Xanax, like 11, 12 years old. Sneak around smoking weed. Then I find sports, and I stay away from that stuff for a while. And my junior year of football, one of my buddies brings meth on the bus. His dad was making meth, cooking meth. And he was like, we're going to put this in our water bottles, and, it's going to help us play like Superman. And I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. So then I just doubled down because I went and got an interception that night, pick 6. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, it's because of the meth. It's why I'm playing so well. That goes on for half the season. I'll do it on the weekends, got it under control. And I go to take my SAT like halfway through the football season. Been up all night partying, doing meth. And I fall asleep taking SAT. And I don't realize it, but, my life's starting to fall apart. And so I just doubled down. This is the thing that's, helping me to escape and, finding some comfort, numbing, what I'm trying to cover up. And eventually I get kicked off the basketball team my senior year, and I lose the opportunity to play football or run track at the next level. And yeah, I thought my life was over.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, like I don't have anything. I don't have sports now.
Yep.
2 sons. By the time I'm 20, I've got this addiction, that I'm really not. I'm not even struggling with. I'm just like surrendered to it. It's just completely ruling my life. And around that time, I get into MMA. I know you've been doing jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
I keep up with that stuff.
Heck yeah.
Always been a huge MMA fan.
Yep.
Had 3 amateur fights, cage fights.
Nice.
And got my arm broke. My third fight, I go to block a high kick, and the dude snaps my arm.
Damn.
And I go to the hospital that night after the fight, and they put me on Percocet. I never went back to the gym. It was downhill from there.
Yeah.
I go to BLET, basic law enforcement training, around the same time, and I get kicked out of that. Phil, I was literally partying, snorting cocaine, and I'd go to my basic law enforcement training classes in the following morning. Dude, my life was crazy at that time. I flunk out, I go back, and they kicked me out the first day I go back because I was under investigation for selling cocaine, manufacturing, selling cocaine. So, again, I was kind of fast forward in my early 20s, man. I had a concrete business. I lost that. Couldn't hang on to that. 2008 hit, recession hit. Yeah. Work slows down. I got this addiction. I can't show up on time for jobs. Like I'm just not reliable. So bank repos my concrete pump. And I bounce around from job to job long enough to pick up a check or two. And then I'd go get my dope, get my pills, wouldn't go back to work. And eventually I stopped working from like the time I was probably 23. I didn't work from the time I was 23 to 31. Like it was literally hustling, trying to hit a lick, going to Walmart, stealing steaks, beer, stealing, copper, Like, that was my life for 7 years, dude. And just fueling my habit, just trying to get the next high. We get per capita checks once every 6 months, so I'd use that, go to the dope man. I'd live off that for maybe 3 weeks or something, and then I'd be broke. And my dad's diagnosed with terminal cancer when I'm 23 years old, and I was already lost, man, wandering, had no vision, no purpose, no nothing. Didn't know God. And that's when I started to shoot up, because me snorting pills was not numbing that pain anymore. I needed something stronger, something harder. So started shooting up, and if I wasn't carrying enough shame at this point in time in my life, then that just was definitely burying me. And, I'd often think about, man, I used to go hunting. I used to be involved in sports. I used to be involved in this and that. And I had my own business, and I would think about those things. And instead of looking at it with optimism, I would just beat myself up and be like, well, I'm just a piece of shit. Like, I've let down everybody that I've ever known and loved. And this is how my life's going to, how it's always going to be. And that's what I believed for a long time. My dad was given 6 months to live, and he fought for 3 years, and got to the end of his life. And we're at the hospital with him. It's the last couple of days he's on this earth. He called me into the room. It's just me and him alone. And I remember standing by his bedside, looking at him, and I was holding his hand. And, he can barely speak at this time. And he was like, I'm not worried about you, son. He's like, you're going to come out of this one day, and you're going to do some great things for our family, for our community, and for the world. And, looking back, dude, that was God speaking through my dad. And I didn't have the eyes to see or the ears to hear it in the moment. And I had to go through that. I had to go through that to get to where I am today. A couple of days later, he passes away, and when my dad leaves this earth and I hear his heart rate monitor flatline, I got a needle in my arm. Come out of the bathroom and go straight back to it, and at that point in time, it was all consuming, the shame, the disappointment that I tried to commit suicide by overdose on numerous occasions, and God seen fit to keep me here. So he passed away in 2014. I'm just wilding out for the next 3 years, in and out of jail. Charges are getting worse and worse. Possession of meth and heroin, guns, and I'm knocking on the door doing prison time. It's getting worse and worse, getting out of hand. And I get locked up March 2017, start to clean up a little bit, get clear-headed, drying out. And there's a scripture that I hadn't quoted in a long time, but David's talking about, it was good for me to suffer so that I could learn your ways. And every time that the growth that I've experienced in my life was through pain, either self-inflicted or some sort of adversity, or being backed into a corner where I didn't have anywhere else to go but to turn to God. And that's where I was at. I was at this crossroads moment, and I knew that I was either going to go to prison or I was going to be dead at this point. And I'm sitting there, and I got a piece of paper out, and I'm writing out a prayer to God for the first time in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm completely broken and surrendered. Like, there's got to be more than this. Yep. The way I've been living, there's got to be more to life than this. And I write down on that sheet of paper that, God, if you're real, show me that my dad's still with me somehow. And around that time, a couple minutes later, pastor comes walking in. And it was a day that he always came on Wednesdays. And this is a Friday, and he come to my pod, no other pod, and he came in and he shared the gospel with me and talked about like how I was trying to do this in my own power, and he just, it was so simple but so profound. Like the greatest lessons are, like you can't see it, Kallup, but everything that you've experienced and been spared is for a purpose, and you got to stop fighting this within your own power and believe that God can pull you out of this.
Yeah.
And I gave my life to God in that moment. And it was such a striking resemblance to my dad when I laid eyes on him. And that's what stood out to me. It was around the same age as my dad, same eye color, mustache trimmed the same way, same flannel shirt, belt tucked in. He had his watch on the inside of his wrist.
Yep.
And he shared the gospel with me. I gave my life to God. And as he was leaving, he shook my hand the same way my dad used to and winked at me and said, "I love you, son. I'll be back in here to see you soon." And that man loved me, and God showed up through him in such a profound way. It changed everything, Yeah. And that's how I got on this new path that I'm on.
Sounds like an angel came to come see you,
Yeah.
Like directly from God.
I called my mom as soon as it happened, and I told my mom what happened.
Yeah.
And she was like, if she was here today, she said she would tell you, I knew everything was going to be different about your life, because you had never spoken like that your entire life.
Yeah.
So I used that opportunity for the next 5 months. I did 6 months, and it was just training ground for me. I just posted something on my story the other day or yesterday. Like, there's a saying in the rooms, like you're in the rooms or you're in jail wherever you're at, and your addiction's out in the parking lot doing push-ups. And so that's the mindset that I took. Like, when I get out, like the test is not while I'm in here.
Yep.
The test is when I get out into the world.
Yep.
And I have people, places, and playgrounds that's calling me back. I have all these things that are going to be appealing to me, the things that I've always done for most of my adult life with the drugs and the partying and that whole scene. And so I got to make sure that I'm strong before I get out of here and resilient, and I can handle those challenges.
Yep.
And so I told my mom, like, it was for the first 2-3 weeks while I was in jail, I was like, "Get me out of here, bond me out." But I had so much surrender and acceptance and understanding that God is preparing me for what's to come, and I need to take advantage of this opportunity. So, maybe somebody's experiencing that right now where they're like, "Man, I want this," or "I feel like I need, I've been working towards this one thing and I can't get it." Like, grow where bloom where you're planted right now. And that's the mindset that I took. Like, I have to get stronger, and I have to really double down on why God kept me here and try to have a better understanding of that. That way I can get out and live a life of purpose and be of service to people that, connect with my story in some way, form, or fashion, and to try to build something like we have with our nonprofit. And so, yeah, it was just, honestly, man, I'd never experienced as much peace as I had in my entire life, even still to this day, as I had when I was locked up in that jail cell, but I knew everything was different.
Was the weight lifted off your shoulders, or what was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weight off my shoulders. It was like just so much purpose and love in my heart, and having a different perspective and mindset on everything that I had been through. And it was no longer me being a victim of my circumstances and consequences of my actions, but now how can I turn this around for good and help other people? Because that's what it's all about, is trying to inspire other people and turn around and pick people up that are down and out and struggling.
Yeah. When you said that piece around your addictions, doing push-ups in the parking lot, makes me think of that quote about whoever's highly favored by God is also highly favored by the devil, meaning that, God can have all these incredible things for your life, but therefore the temptations and the evil and the addiction and just everything else is just as strong. You know, it's I just found that quote very powerful.
That's good.
Thanks, man. So you mentioned your nonprofit. Definitely want to talk about that. It's called Res Hope Recovery and Consulting.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak a bit about that?
Yeah. You know, I got out of jail, was released, and immediately just immersed myself in the recovery community back home in Cherokee. That's where Caitlin and I met. She had just been released from prison or jail. She went to prison too, but anyways, that's another story.
We got to get Caitlin on the pod.
Yeah.
Next time you guys are in Boulder, I'll get Caitlin on.
She had just been released, and so she was involved in the recovery community, and honestly, I had the idea. I knew that our community didn't have anything for men struggling. Like, if I would have had the opportunity to go to a recovery house like what we've built, like, I might have taken that path. I don't know. But I knew that guys in our community didn't have that opportunity. So there was a need there. And, you know, there's a quote that sticks with me, and honestly, it's really working on me right now. But it says, if you're not serving, you're not recovering. And that was such a huge part of my journey for a long time that I've kind of gotten away from because I've been a little bit blinded by my own ambition and not giving back to the guys in our house. And, you know, we would go volunteer at the shelter. Like, there's things that kept me grounded that I've not been doing. I don't know why I'm going off on a tangent right now, but back to your question is, there was a need in the community, and I felt like it was God kept me here to fulfill that in some way. And so we became friends, and then we started dating, and we were both passionate about recovery and trying to help our community.
Yeah. And
so we started just brainstorming, like, well, we need to create something like this. And so the idea kind of was birthed of, let's create a men's recovery home. And the idea started in 2018. And we started the organization. We would go and I'd speak in schools, sharing my story, my addiction, my recovery story, sharing my testimony. We'd go on mission trips. We'd serve our community doing different, we'd provide meals and fellowship. And so that's what it was for a few years. COVID happened. Nothing was happening at that time. And then circle back around. We've got this house that's just sitting there. It was a family member's house. We were going to rent it out. And I kept telling my mom, no, let's sit on this. Let's get this house opened up. We need a program for men. So we wrestled with this. We tried to run from it. We tried to give it to somebody else. And God kept placing it in our laps. And then finally, last year, we got staff hired. We got our first participant. So it's a 6 to 9 month program for men coming out of incarceration, coming out of rehab, detox, for them to get on their feet, get employed, getting hooked up with employment, transportation, recovery support, all the things that you need to succeed. And Caitlin's the executive director. My mom's basically the manager. Everybody that works there is in recovery. And it was just, something that God just laid on my heart, man, from the time I was locked up. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew that I wanted to create something for my community.
Love it. Yeah. And we'll be sure to put in the link to donate or to support or to volunteer, to spread the word in the show notes.
Yeah.
So that
we're looking for monthly donors. If people want to donate $5 a month or something to help guys, with second chances, get on their feet. The Run Across America, we we paid a staff salary with some of that money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is going back directly into the betterment and of other people's lives and making sure people are having another opportunity, a second chance at life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're a living testimony of that, you know, of what it's like to have a second chance or a, you know, sixth chance, you know, like.
Yeah. I've had a lot of them, man.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of them.
It's beautiful because now you're preaching the word. Now you're out in the world. Now you're running across the country and doing all these incredible things that, you know, bring light to your story. And I think the more that, however I can support and sharing that story and introducing you to people, you know, I feel like I'm helping you. And like that, man, you have such a cool story. And like I mentioned, like you were one of the first people that I was like, man, when I have a podcast, like I want to get into it.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm serious. I thought the same thing. When I seen you announce this, I was excited because I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on time. So, is there anything else that you want to talk through? Anything else you want to dig into before I'll let you check your notes before we get into the last question and then we can call it?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and I usually like to share a quote or
please
either open with one or close with one.
Yep.
Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. Sometimes I will talk about our suffering being sacred and how it's a gift because it always teaches us, if we look for it, it teaches us great lessons, whether it's just having more gratitude, appreciating, you know, the things that we do have, the people that we do have, the trauma that we go through. Do we transmit that or do we transform it, talk about it, process it so that other people can have a roadmap to overcome the things that they're going through? And I wouldn't, like I said a few minutes ago, you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at today and the man that I am today had I not go through all those trials and tribulations, you know, and it was all for good. And I've got a lot of scars internally and all over my body. And I think most people have really challenging, traumatic things that they've been through and are going through, and your story's not over. So just, you know, keep going, reach out, talk about it. Just wanted to share that before I hopped off.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, last question. Do you think you were born or do you think you were made?
What is the difference to you?
I think the difference is that you're born with all of the skills that you need to get you to where you are versus learning along the way and being adaptive. And when I think made, I think like I was
forged.
I was born on, like, I didn't have everything that I needed to get to where I needed to go. So yeah, you were forged through steel, pretty much. You're a blacksmith.
Yes.
So what do you think?
Yes.
Both. Cool.
For sure.
That's been a common answer, honestly.
Yeah. I think that it is I think it's our duty as human beings. You know, you're talking about the hero's journey, like we're called to adventure, especially as men, like we're called to adventure. We're called to struggle, and to satisfaction comes from struggle.
Yeah.
You know, what are we doing to forge ourselves?
Yeah.
To better ourselves, to refine ourselves. So, I mean, I definitely think that question is answered with both. Yes. We have a certain set of skills and abilities and things that were God given, but there's also a lot of development that we got to really lean into.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
We'll appreciate the time, Kallup.
Thank you, brother.
Folks, if you all want to follow Kallup's journey, give him a follow on Instagram. Again, we'll put the Res Hope donation in the show notes below. If you'd love to support, we could both vouch it's going to a really good place and helping a lot of people. Yeah, thanks for the time.
Yeah, we'll do it again after Australia.
Dude, yeah.
God willing.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to hear about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Thank you.